It's that time of year again. You guys heard that? It's the great plug-in purge of 2020!
All items heretofore known as plugins, shown or discussed related with the plugin purge of 2020 may or may not be purged, deleted, removed, hidden, or otherwise, due to the absolute and utter obsession Second Born has with plugins. There's a great big chance that most of these plugins will not be deleted, and this video is total bullshit. You've been advised.
Every year around this time, I have accumulated just an insane amount of plugins. Every time a new plugin comes out, I have a trial period. I take up the trial, then I just get convinced to buy the plugin, and I'm just using it for 3 or 4 months, 6 months, 10 months, 12 months. What? If you're like me, then over the course of a year, you accumulate just so many plugins. Every company is fighting for your attention. They're fighting to get you to use their plugins. And then over the year, you accumulate so many until you just go insane. When you have too many options to choose from, you end up with what's called option paralysis. Option paralysis? Option paralysis. That's what I want. So around this time, every single year, I make it a point to go through all of my plugins, and I have an insane amount of plugins, and I don't need 95% of them. Every year around this time, I go through and I strip it down to somewhere around 40 to 60 of my favorite plugins, and maybe a one-off here and there, and I stick to only using those plugins. And I encourage everyone to do this. Strip it down to just the stock plugins. There's so much value in just the stock plugins these days. For me, I really have an addiction. It's a very unhealthy obsession with just trying out the new plugins, and then now I have 500 different compressors that I just don't need. I'm going to go through it and strip it down today, and while I do that, I'm going to show you about 40 of my favorite plugins that I use on every single mix without fail. They're my desert island plugins. They're my plugins that I can't live without, regardless of how many plugins I actually have. And before we take a look, don't forget to click like and subscribe on this channel. I really do appreciate the community that we're building, and thank you for watching. It's time to strip butt naked on our plugin selection.
All right, so let's make sure these plugins are on your radar.
The first thing I want to show you is why I'm doing this. I have an exceptionally unnecessary amount of plugins. It's ridiculous. Option paralysis sets in. I don't need a million of these. I only need a good 40 or 50 of them. Again, this is not an in-depth video about the plugins. I just want to kind of show you the interface, tell you the ones that I'm using, and hopefully put it on your radar so that maybe you could pick it up or check it out, do a trial. If you guys want to see a video where I have some tutorials on these plugins, show you how they sound. If you have any questions about them, don't forget to leave it in the comments so that I know that my next video needs to be about some of these plugins. First off is Plugin Alliance Metric AB. Use it to reference your song. You can switch back and forth between your mix and a different reference. I usually check the spectrum analyzer, and what's really nice about this particular plugin is that I can isolate different frequency ranges and listen to just those ranges. So when I pull this plugin up, that's what I'm doing. I'm just listening to different ranges and I'm pulling up the spectrum. Next is the ANTARES Auto Tune. I use it with vocals and to complement my Melodyne individual pitch tuning, and then I'll throw in the Auto Tune. I use Auto Tune Artist instead of Pro because my individual tuning of notes, I use Melodyne to tune those. Next is Brainworks Black Box Analog Design, which is from Plugin Alliance. I use it for a little simple saturation. If I want to boost up the high end or the air, give it a nice sheen at the top end without overloading my master bus or my sub mixes. This is a great one to check out. Then another mainstay is the BX Digital V3. You'll see this on a lot of mixes and all your favorite engineers. Really great to isolate frequency ranges, play with the width of the entire signal, and it's a great mid-side plugin. You can get really surgical if you need to. Actually, I watch Josh Goodwin's Twitch channel, and he uses this plugin a lot. Then we have our BX meters, just what it says, nice simple meter.
I go to it to isolate the mids or the sides. So I can listen to just the sides, I can listen to just the left channel or just the right channel. And another great RMS metering. Simple, doesn't take up a lot of computer resource. Next is Wave Center. Really easy if I want to raise the level of just the sides, like if I wanted the harmonies or if I wanted the synth, the sides to be boosted up while the center of the signal retains its focus. Or if I want to boost just the center of the signal to push up the vocals or push up the kick and the bass all at once. Put this on the sub mix, throw it on, one simple knob, one simple fader, and you're done. Next is the CLA Vocal. This is an amazing plugin. It's a really turnkey, throw it on your signal and it just sounds better kind of plugin. Really well thought out. All of the faders sound great. Really cut and dry, really simple. You know exactly what you're getting. If I need to boost up the bass in the vocal, if I want to compress the vocal, smash it a little bit, if I want to add a little delay or reverb, it's all built into this plugin. It is resource heavy on your computer, so be mindful how many instances you use, but I put it on almost every lead vocal I have just to give it a little kiss of sweetness. Next I have Softube's channel limited germanium compressor. I use this really just for my mix bus if I want a really deep mix bass presence. Something about this compressor really drives the low end. As soon as you throw it on, you bump up the germanium drive, and the kick, the bass, the heavy bass all the bass frequencies jump out the moment you start turning knobs. I use it on my sub mixes for my bass, my drums, if I want to use it on my sub mix bus. Really great plugin for that. For multi-band compression, I pull out my 1973, my Drawmer 1973. Really simple, 3 knobs, 3 bands. If I want to control the low end, if I want to control the mids, I just pull this plugin out, turn to some knobs. Sounds great, really transparent, really easy to use. So this is my first option for overall multi-band compression. Next, you'll see a lot of Soundtoys effects on this list. For delay, I pull out my Echo Boy. What I like about the Echo Boy, in addition to just being really a really versatile delay plugin, you know exactly what you're getting when you need a delay. It has a ton of great presets, so it gives you a lot of great creative options. And again, with Soundtoys, again, you'll see a lot of that on the list. The effect rack from Soundtoys has all of their processors, so it's really fun to experiment using the effects rack. They have a lot of sales going on recently. The first place I'm looking is Soundtoys for effects. Delays, reverbs, phasing, flangering, saturation. Anything Soundtoys is what I'm digging for first. And effects rack stays on my top 40 for sure. Here's a sleeper. This is Waves Enigma. Really cool for nice phasey, kind of really trippy sounds for effects. Gives you really cool movements. I really love putting this on an effects channel and just blending it in with the original signal. Really great plugin. Next is the FabFilter stuff. I'm a huge fan of FabFilter. If you know, everybody's a huge fan of FabFilter. Pretty much any of their processors can go in anybody's top 10 or top 40 lists. I'm choosing 3 out of the many processors that they have. I use their Pro L2. If I need to raise the level of my master bus, doesn't overload the signal, really transparent. Rarely are there any artifacts. If I need to boost the signal, get a little more heat out of the master bus. Next FabFilter plugin is the Pro MB. So I have my 1973 as my first option for multi-band compression. But if I need to get more clinical, I pull out the Pro MB and I can pull out as many bands as I want and begin to adjust different frequency ranges and compress using just the Pro MB. So for anything clinical, I usually go for my FabFilter stuff, because after my Pro MB, then I also use my FabFilter Pro Q3, which is my go-to EQ for clinical and surgical. Can't go wrong with the Pro Q. You can't go wrong with the Pro Q. You can't go wrong with the Pro Q3. It has a dynamic EQ. You can select as many bands as you need, and it's just a mainstay. If I had to spend money on a plugin, Pro Q3 would probably be one of the first 2 or 3 plugins that I buy right from the door. Next is Cable Guys' Halftime. It's a really cool effect for nice breakdown, slow down effects. The cool thing about this particular plugin is that you can use it fully functional in its demo version, so you don't even have to buy it. In addition to my TC Electronic Clarity M for metering, I like to use Isotope Insight Tells you everything you need to know about your track as it relates to loudness, frequency ranges, intelligibility. It's just everything you need metering plugin. This one might not be on your radar. It's IK Multimedia's Elysia Mastering Console. It's another magic plugin for me. Throw it on your master bus, throw it on your mix bus, throw it in your mastering session. Immediately things open up. You get a nice clean top end. When you throw this plugin on, it runs through a lot of different processors. It runs through EQs, limiters, de-essers, compressors, and you can really dial in a finished product sound just by throwing this on your track. Soundtoys Micro Shift goes on any of my vocal tracks. I use it to do a widening effect or a doubling effect. Really simple, few knobs, you get a great sound. Mainly stays on my lead vocal. Then we have the Waves NLS bus. I throw this on my bass or my drums submix track. I use the mic setting and I turn the drive up to give the low end a nice heavy full sound. It emulates signal going through a console, and the mic setting sounds the best to me. It sounds really, really cool. Jason Joshua has a cool engineering trick where he throws 12 of these on a track and just listen to that open, big sound. So use it to taste, great plugin, really fun to use. I like to use Waves NS1 to suppress noise. Really cool for cleaning up a track if it wasn't really recorded well. Tames the room sound, tames rumble. Another Waves favorite of mine is a one knob. All the one knob plugins are really good. I use the one knob filter. If I'm doing a nice underwater effect, I team it up with a reverb, or if I want to do an intro build up, I automate the filter. Just one knob, really simple, easy to use, really cool. We're back to our Soundtoys stuff. This is the Pan Man. Every time I want to play with the signal jumping from left to right, I pull up the Pan Man. It handles all of my left to right speaker needs. Really cool presets, really fun to play with. You can really do some really creative things using the Pan Man. This is Cridlin Audio's Pink. You turn the plugin on, and it emits a pink noise. The reason why you use this plugin is because you have a cool trick in order to gain stage, in which you push your levels up. As you're pushing your kick drum up and your vocals up, you want to push it up just enough until you hear your signal over the pink noise. And the moment you hear it, you know you have a great level there. You do that for every single track. Once you do it for every single track, you turn the pink noise plugin off, and you have a really good gain staging starting point to mix the rest of your track from that point forward. This is Waves R bass. Needless to say, it goes on a bass track. It really gives it a nice full bass sound. It's just one lever, turn up the intensity and watch it fly. My second delay option is the D16 repeater. For some reason, I like the way the saturation sounds. And I'll play with the high pass and low pass filters right here. Really, really easy to use. Then we have the Oak Sound Soothe 2. This is another plugin that if you're going to spend money on plugins, make sure you get this one first, second, or third. Make sure this is in your top 3. This stays on every single session that I have. If you're having problems in whatever track you're mixing, Soothe 2 pulls out those problematic resonances and frequencies, like really boominess in the 200 range, or really sharp and tingy in the 300 and the 3000 and 5000 range. Pulls that right out without any problem, and you can adjust how much or how little you want it to pull out. So if you're spending money on a plugin, Soothe 2 should be one of the first things you spend money on a plugin for. For saturation, I use Process Audio Sugar. I can isolate the lows, the medium, the highs of the air, and just add a nice little touch of saturation, nice added touch of warmth. I also like to use FabFilter's Saturn, which essentially does more or less the same thing with a few other features, but this one's a quick go-to. I use Waves Factory track spacer whenever I'm playing with the kick and the bass and I need to carve some room out. You dial in the amount of carve out that you need for your kick drum to punch through. You sidechain your kick through, and it carves out space for your kick while pulling the bass signal down when in whatever frequency range that kick drum is hitting. Really, really dope. A mainstay on my vocal track and my vocal chain is a CL1B. Really smooth, nice transparent compressor. I use a CL1B and I follow that up with a Universal Audio LA2A, just the legacy version that comes with the Analog Classics bundle. When I'm recording vocals, this is a nice classic chain. It's a go-to. I can't go wrong with it. For reverb, I'll pull out my Valhalla Vintage Verb. Valhalla makes amazing reverbs. They're simple, easy to use, clean. The rooms sound great, and the plugin doesn't cost much. It's a go-to. It's like I use it like if it's one of my stock reverbs. Waves Vitamin.
I use Waves Vitamin to add a little overall width. Put it on my submixes or my master bus and I add a little width. It's a great sweetener. Another mainstay on my vocal tracks is the VocalLine Pro. The chain is usually I'll run Melodyne through. I tune individual notes from Melodyne. I'll run it through auto tune, just kind of give it an overall tuning. And then I'll tighten up the harmonies using VocalLine Pro. Really simple, easy to use, really quick, saves a lot of time when you're tightening up harmonies. So I'll use Melodyne first to tune individual notes. I'll run it through auto tune to give a nice overall tuning, and then I'll run it through VocalLine Pro. And that's my when I'm doing any kind of vocal correction, that'll be the chain I use. Now the last plugin that I have, it's a bonus actually. It's not really a plugin, and I've decided that I'm going to do a separate video for this because you just have to have it. Rogue Amoeba's Audio Hijack is an app that you should really seriously look into. So this is just a quick snapshot of how I use it. I run all of my system audio through Audio Hijack, and what I can do is I can insert any of my plugins directly through the pathway of my favorite music. I also use it to record audio from YouTube if I ever want to use it, like a sample of an old record or old song and I want to strip that sample, make a beat with it. I just record it using Audio Hijack. So this, in addition to doing many other things, this is one of those apps that aren't on people's radar, but I want to make sure that it is on your radar because it doesn't cost that much. And if you're working with audio, it kind of just opens up the world of what you can record and use in your sessions, in your live streams, while you're listening to your favorite music and want to audition different plugins. Audio Hijack is definitely the way to go. So hopefully that gives you that extra degree. It's one of my bonuses. So there you have it. Those are my favorite stripped down, butt naked, down to the bare minimum. And it's still a really great selection. I probably still have too many. Again, I'm going to be really intentional about only using these plugins. Your workflow becomes faster. You dial in your sound exactly how you want it a lot faster, a lot quicker. It's more streamlined. You get a lot more work done. You feel lighter. You feel more released. And you have more opportunity to be creative. And that's why we do it. Plugins are great. They're fun to use. But you don't need that extra baggage. Go through your plugins. Strip it down to your favorite 30 or 40. And only use those because those are the only ones you need. So I want to thank you again for watching. Hopefully this added some value. And until next video, I'll catch you on the flip. Strip it down butt naked.